All right, welcome back to ABS, where innovation and again, service does not sleep. What are we doing today? We're kind of on the repair kit line here this week, and another one we're gonna do is the auto air valve, the normally closed valve on your blast pod. So today we're gonna break it down. We have the kit here. This is the 2123-00799, just like the other ones. This is a repair kit, and with that 99 number, you know it's a hard kit. For the auto air valve though, there's not a whole lot to this. So this pretty much is the only kit that you can buy and that you would really need. So, and with the hard kit, this is about the only hard piece in the kit. So it's pretty simple. So what do we get in here? So again, we get the diagram, nice exploded view of everything in them. But before we dive into that, let's kind of go through this. So first, we have the 1.25" auto air valve. Second, we have the 1.5" auto air valve. Now you'll see this one has 6 bolts instead of 4. So this is the high flow, and again with the high flow, you can have a different size. So they only come in 1.5" or 2" here on my left, your right. And pretty much the only difference for that is it allows more air. So let's simply get into this video and let's break this down. For demonstration purposes today, we are going to be repairing the normal standard flow 1.5". So first, take your 11mm socket. Today we're going to be using the impact, so it's just a little bit faster. And we're going to take off these 4 bolts. Okay, there we have it. The 4 bolts are out. Just like most, there's a spring in them, just like a lot of the Schmidt valves, but again, it's not going to come at you. And one thing you'll notice, if you have the high flow, this is going to be a lot longer. It's about double the length for the spring. That's because there's more air and more compression. So this is the spring. You should never really have to replace this. And on the inside of the spring, there is one little gasket on the inside of this piece. You should really never have to replace this though, and personally here at ABS we've actually never replaced this. But again, if you need to, you can certainly replace that. Here's your little breather vent too. Commonly not a whole lot wrong with this. So we're going to set this aside. And now this is where it gets interesting, and this is the most important part of this assembly. So if you'll look here, there's a little slot, and you need a screwdriver, but not too big. So you need a flathead, just a standard screwdriver. And when you put it in there, it's kind of like when you replace the Terra valve, you need to hold that with the crescent wrench. It's kind of the same thing here, but now we're doing it with a screwdriver. So make sure it's not too big. Hold that there, and then on the bottom, you can grab either a crescent wrench or a normal wrench and take off this nut. Okay, again, common theme, just like most valves, we have our brass little washer, solid plate, then the diaphragm, and then the same. Then grab your 17 metric socket, and you can take off this nut here, and then we can get onto the inside. Make sure it's a deep well. Okay, loosen it enough to get these parts out. Okay, so the next step here would be to take off this nut here.
All right, so cut the crap. This is the next day, as you can see probably from the background. We had to go have a couple beers because changing this was too frustrating. We just had to give up. So last you saw, we were taking this out of the auto air valve, this connected piece, and it is extremely hard. So as you can see here, that nut and this shaft, we even tried it on a brand new one after we cut away, got it on the vise, and hammered on this thing. We finally got it off, but it's not as simple as just holding it with a screwdriver and a crescent wrench. I mean, if you can do it, great, but we even tried new ones, and a brand new shaft and nut did the exact same. You can, here, I'll show you live. Right about there, it's completely locked up. So it's tough. It's just how it is. Even the new ones are going to be like that, so don't stress. But now let's get back into the video. So you're going to take this all the way off here. I got it hand loose. It wasn't easy though. Okay, so you take this off. First things first, let's just replace the flat washer in here, this brick. And luckily on the new ones, they're completely flat, so you can't mess it up either way. So grab yourself a little pick or a flat screwdriver. Take that piece off. Put in the new one. Like I said, both ways are flat. Just make sure it sits in there nice and even. If you need to push it down with something, go ahead. Okay, and then you notice there's a brass washer on here. We can take this off too. Get the shaft all the way out. Sometimes these are plugged up in here. That's why the grease is going to be nice later. Okay, walk that off. Now let's go ahead and start replacing them. So in your new kit, you're going to get 3 washers. Notice that 2 of them are the same size. And if I can grab this one, there's one that's smaller. So the one that's smaller goes on the smaller size thread. So on the shaft, you have 2 size threads. Put it on the smaller one. That's the one we just took off. And then grab your grease. Put a little bit of grease on there. And then we can put that back in. We just replaced the washer in here. We have the shaft in here. And then stick the small end through it. Copper. Put that on. Now we're ready for the small nuts. So now notice in your kit you have small nuts and bigger ones. Grab the small one because it goes on the small end. And now we're going to cut to the vise and hammer on this thing. Okay, so after grabbing my cameraman and the vise, we finally got it. So the best way to do it is if you can hold it with something kind of soft on this part so you don't totally munch this. But if you did buy the hard kit, which is what we're replacing, you can clamp it on the actual shaft here because you get a new one. So don't worry about wrecking that. And then get that as tight as you can get it because this part is going to be sealing the air down. And like I said, this is the most common wear part right here, or the next part we're going to replace, which is the inside of this. So think about it, air's going down, it closes it. This is right behind it, and when this shaft is sliding, there's the seal. The little O-ring here goes inside of this. So grab your pick again, and this one's going to be a little bit harder to get out, but not too bad. This is where you can grab your grease again. This is obviously a new valve, so there's still grease in here, so we're good there. Okay, there we go. That is replaced. Now there's another seal on here, so there's 2 seals. You're going to want to grab the largest one, and then it goes right on top of the threads here. Same thing, grab your pick. Super easy to get out. Grab your grease again, and it goes right on top and all the way flush. So there we go. 2 of the seals gaskets are on this little piece. Now we have 2 left, right? So we just replaced the big one. We just replaced the littlest one. Now there's 2 in between sizes, and even these ones aren't the same. So now you'll notice one of them goes behind here, and we're not going to take this off. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is something you really never have to replace, and we never have. But if you take this nut off, this big nut, there is one of these gaskets behind here, and then you're good on that. So, but what's the last one for? So we just dug this whole thing apart, watched a couple other videos, and we noticed that they didn't replace this one either. So if you're concerned, well, so are we, because we have no idea where it goes. So there is an extra gasket. You don't need it. Don't worry. Don't stress. You can keep moving on. You can go ahead and put this back on. Slides on. And then it's going to go in here. And notice we have fine threads in here. So when you put this on, you're going to want to use your grease. Make sure that it goes in nice and easy because it is fine threads. Again, grab your 17mm socket. Get that on nice and tight so it can seal. Now, let's replace the top. So we have the diaphragm, our couple washers. Take the washers out. And like I was saying, kind of with all valves, you're going to have the 2 plates, these brass plates, and you're going to want to reuse these. But take your new diaphragm. Put the plates on both sides, and then grab your new washers. Now we're ready to put this back on our shaft here. And so notice there's a bow in the diaphragm here. We had a person call in just the other day, and they're like, which way does it go? Does it go bow down? Does it go bow up? So the bow always goes down towards the air. And now we're ready to put the bigger nut back on here, and this is where we're again going to cut away because we have to hold it with the screwdriver, hold it with the vise, and then grab our crescent wrench and tighten the nut on. Okay, so we're back. We just got this tightened all the way down, and you'll notice a good way to check this if you've done it right. Should be able to move here a little bit, and then easily, if I can show you here, should be able to slide in and out because we just replaced those washers on the inside, so it should slide in and out. You have grease in there, should be good. And it can play a little bit side to side. A thing that happens all the time, when these go bad, if you're pulling up or down and it kind of gets locked into the side, you know that one of your washers is bad because it's not coming in straight in and out, so it's getting jacked and then it's stopping and it's got a lot of resistance, so that can be a wear point, and then you're not going to seal properly on the inside. Now we're ready to put our cover back on with our spring. Notice we have the standard one, so we have the short one here, and then there really isn't a wrong way you can put this on as long as you have the curves lined up, because it's two parallel sides on each one, so they're kind of the same. And we have people calling in asking all the time on the fly, I have problems with my auto air valve, I just got my seals kit, can you help? And the first thing we always ask them is, okay, which auto air valve do you have? And the first thing they say is, I don't know. So then what do? We say, okay, do you have 4 bolts or do you have 6 bolts? Because the high flow ones have 6 and the standard ones have 4. So you'll notice that's a very easy and simple way to do it because they both, I mean, you can't just say which one's bigger or smaller. They're not going to have both sizes. But that's the easiest way to tell because all the 4 bolt ones are the standard and all the 6 are the high flow. But basically all the parts are the same besides that. So that's the easiest way to tell what you need, especially if you're trying to order on your own. Okay guys, there you have it. Simple, easy, not quite easy, but we'll say simple enough. The only problems you're really going to have is getting that screw off with your screwdriver. You can play with the sizes, but a big one's nice because it's easier to hold, but it also can't be too big because then the nut doesn't have any room to back off. So simple things, one of the most common ones that you're going to need to replace because this is what's actually sealing the air down inside of here when it smashes open or closed. And then the smallest O-ring, that's the biggest one to remember. Easy to forget too because it's on the inside of that shaft. Other than that, simple. You should be able to do it, especially if you have a vise. That's it, and remember, have a blast.